welcome to Late Night Live. Guys, you've got to see this. This liberals, when even having a knife pulled on them, are trying to be social justice warriors. So this white man is in tears because a black man who threatened his family with a knife, threatening to kill them, was scared that he might be called racist for calling the police. Check this video out.
Was arrested and charged with simple assault and terroristic threats. Following his arrest, he was transported to the DeKalb County Jail.
Let's go to the SWAT car, please.
Okay. That way. Why is it happening? I'm being arrested?
Yes.
For what?
For what?
I'll be with you. Just 1 second.
Are you arrested?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to finish him off.
But still, I will need for you to fill out a statement for him.
I don't want him arrested. I just want him to leave us
I
alone.
know, but he had a weapon on him, and it was terrorist threats.
Brandishing is not a crime with a knife. Brandishing is only a crime for a gun.
Terroristic threats, though, sorry.
Because he said die to me and had his knife out?
All that was done. The threats, everything. Let me get a statement.
I thought you were going to arrest him. I wouldn't call. I just wanted to leave us alone.
I understand, but we still have a job to do.
Now he's gonna think I'm doing this because I'm white and he's black, or he's homeless and I'm not. I don't want that.
But did he do what he did?
Yeah, but I don't want him thinking I did it because he's in whatever situation he's in. I just want him to leave us alone.
I doubt that.
Oh, he put a knife on my family, but don't call me a racist. This is crazy. Like these people. I really can't even with these folks, man. Like social justice extremists, dude. I mean, it's crazy. Like he pulled a knife and threatened to kill your family. Like why you were not defending your family? Why was he not getting sent off into the next world? It is beyond me, right? Because I always say stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous, stay strapped is part of that mantra. Okay, so y'all remember the other day whenever I spoke about the various possibilities that the Wagner group mutiny could have been. Okay, and I said that one of those could have been a relocation to Kiev or closer to Kiev via Belarus. Well, it seems like I'm not the only one that was questioning that. A reporter asked the Deputy Press Secretary Olivia Dalton about concerns from Poland and other NATO countries that the armed mutiny in Russia by the Wagner Group could actually just be a cover-up for relocation of Russian assets or forces. And the reporter also asked the Deputy Press Secretary why the United States has not changed its nuclear posture after Russia stationed nuclear weapons in Belarus. I'll play the clip, let you check it out here for yourself. But again, this is something that I spoke about the other day. I spoke about the various different possibilities, and we're going to talk about a few more because there's been some new evidence. But I think, in my opinion, I mean, it would be one of the best tactical strategies that he could have pulled by moving troops and making it seem like, oh, we're only doing this because we were having our own uprising. So almost like playing the victim card. Okay, but check out the clip here.
Alarm bells are ringing in Poland and Baltic states because of the movement of Wagner Group troops to Belarus. And Polish president just today called it a relocation of Russian forces. So is it at all possible that the whole mutiny was just a cover for moving Wagner's troops to Belarus? And what's your reaction to those concerns on the eastern flank of NATO?
So I'm not going to get into any sort of speculation about this situation. We're continuing to monitor it closely, and all I'll say is that, rhetoric around nuclear weapons is, we've seen coming from the Russians is highly irresponsible. And that said, we've seen no change, no reason to assess that their nuclear posture has changed, and no reason to change our own nuclear posture. With that said, we remain committed to the collective defense of the NATO alliance, which of course includes Poland, and we are going to stay in close touch with our partners and allies to make sure we continue to monitor this closely and responsibly.
And a follow-up on nuclear weapons. President Lukashenko said today that a significant part of the nuclear weapons have been brought to Belarus. Can you confirm that, and that in fact it happened? And if true, why the U.S. is not changing its nuclear posture in response to Russia's Russian change in their nuclear posture? John yesterday sounded like a little bit dismissive about this movement.
Yeah, I can't confirm that for you.
They can never confirm anything. I mean, the Biden press secretaries are they have zero answers for anything. Have you noticed that? Like, and then John Kirby walks off the stage when asked about the Biden's dealings. So anyway, what they believe and what Poland is saying and some other countries are saying is that the armed mutiny was nothing more than a cover-up to relocate its troops to the Belarusian border, closer to Ukraine's capital. Man, I said this the other day, and I'm some dumb redneck. Analysts also point that there was a rumored meeting that Prigozhin had with Putin 4 days before the armed mutiny. So Prigozhin went and had a meeting 4 days prior. Do you really believe the man was having a mutiny and he met with him 4 days before? Especially they've had a long-term tight alliance. If you think about one of your best friends, closest friends that you've known over 30 years, would you try to take them out? Right? And this person actually brought you up, got you paid, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. So the other thing is what about this? Okay, so this is interesting. So this is actually a plane that is tied to Yevgeny Prigozhin that has landed in Moscow after leaving Minsk, Belarus. So this comes after Vladimir Putin and the Belarusian president Lukashenko had confirmed Prigozhin had left Russia and will reside in Belarus. So this was already after he had went there and then immediately got flown, took his private jet to Russia. So this is the aircraft here. You see the number on the side, RA TAC 02795, landed in Moscow roughly 20 minutes before this was posted. So this was posted about that time. So I think about maybe 10 p.m. our time. Showing you the various maps here of the Minsk and then flying around there. So if the plane flew from Rostov-on-Don, then that was the last place Prigozhin was publicly seen to Minsk. Now, the other thing is that odd thing is that Putin supposedly opened a probe into how the Wagner Group leader, Prigozhin, whatever his freaking name is, who got $2 billion in government funds. So he said that Vladimir Putin said that officials will be scrutinizing not only Wagner's finances, but also his Concord catering company, because I told you he was a caterer, right? He was a chef, and he earned the nickname Putin Chef. This is how close this guy is with Vladimir Putin, okay? But he had $2 billion in various government contracts for the past year for his catering company. So Putin's investigating why that was the case, okay? But beyond that, we spoke about American being involved, but Putin says mutiny organizers will face justice, right? But Biden says U.S. is not involved in the rebellion. So he promises that America was not involved, and we may not have been, or we may have been. He may have took the money and ran, and it was a plan the whole time. Maybe this was a whole scheme that the Wagner Group leader planned to maybe connect with Americans, CIA, get cash, but the whole time he was essentially a double agent, taking orders still from Putin, right? But Biden says, "Oh, the U.S. is not involved." He's never told a lie before. So Biden's statement says, "We made it clear that we are not involved. We had nothing to do with this part of the struggle with the Russian system." So you see it there. But the other thing the U.S. is doing, though, and it's odd, you saw those ton of gold bricks he had, and I was wrong about how much they were. They were actually about 50,000 US dollars per gold brick that he had, or gold bar bullion. And I mean, so it wound up being like $2 or $3 million that he had in gold as well. So the U.S. is now looking at firms suspected in funding this mercenary force. So the U.S. Treasury Department issued a statement saying that it slapped sanctions on 4 companies in the UAE, Central African Republic, and Russia accused of being connected to the Wagner Group and the leader. So we'll see. I mean, he had a ton of gold, and gold is a good way that if you didn't know this, a lot of countries will move money to fund various things. This is a common tactic used around, because gold is pretty much accepted anywhere. But this is how you can move large sums of money, because that gold bullion was $50,000 instead of carrying a bunch of cash. It's easier to move gold like that. But so I told you he had just made it back to Belarus, and Lukashenko welcomes him back into exile, right? So even though he had already arrived there, he's giving him an official welcome this evening. And then the other odd thing that happened today is that Putin sent a plane to DC to grab all of his diplomats today, right? So you saw a bunch of diplomats being flown out of Washington, D.C., key diplomats, he says, just days after the Wagner attempted coup. State Department tells Russia it expects the same courtesy for American officials. So very, very odd. I mean, the first thing I could think of is that maybe some nuclear war stuff. You're trying to get your people out, but I mean that's far fetched. But who knows? Depending on how deep this Wagner group goes, if it was funded by a NATO country, let's say it wasn't America, but another NATO country funded the rebellion. America has said that this afternoon that they were aware of it days before. They said that the other day when I said it, but they said today that they kept it from their allies, because obviously when they leaked out that they knew it days beforehand. Well, they said 24 hours, but now they're saying up to 3 to 4 days beforehand. Well, how'd you know this, right? Unless you have people on the ground, right, in Russia. I mean, it's almost like that they're telling on themselves, right? But someone's saying it's not far-fetched, not that far-fetched. I mean, anything's possible, and that's what I'm getting to, is that there are, many possibilities here. He has been heavily funded. Okay. He was making headway, right? I mean, he was actually looked like he could have pulled it off, within 20 hours. But then all of a sudden he says, no, we're done. Right. Unless his family was threatened, but I don't even know if he has family. I mean, I don't know anything about him. But that would be the only one I could see. But the other thing to me is that the biggest indicator I think that we should all be aware of is that he's still alive. That's very telling, because he shot down 7 Russian aircraft, right? And obviously weakening Russia, one, but aircraft are very expensive, and they take a long time to build, right? They're very technical. Like some helicopters and planes take, year, 2 years to build. And any of you guys that work on planes, you can chime in, right? So we have 7 aircraft down. But for someone like Putin, right, this is another huge indicator. For someone like Putin, who is a man, the thing is that a lot of people talk about respect and I want to be respected, this and that. There's a very thin line between respect and fear, right? You cannot be respected, I don't believe, unless you're feared, right? I think that you still have to maintain some level of fear, okay? And Putin rules with iron fist, like I said, and to just allow him to be exiled by taking down 7 of his aircraft, killing pilots, that's the other thing, killing trained pilots while you're in the middle of conflict, right? Pilots aren't easy to make either. But Putin is a strategist, okay? He's a master of deception. And I would say if it wasn't a fault flags, dude's days are numbered, okay? So if he's not already left Earth, maybe the plane flying around is just an empty plane. That's his plane. It's the plane he owns, right? Yevgeny is the one he owns, and maybe they're just flying it around to make it seem like he's still alive, but because he's not been seen, right, in a few days. So if America or any other NATO country was involved, hours of painful interrogation would definitely have him confessing and bringing that to life and probably producing evidence, which would be very damning for America or any other NATO country. Because if they can get evidence of some kind of involvement, right? I mean, this is how a nuclear war would start. Because said country would probably be attacked, or he would just go nuclear on Ukraine. He would say all gloves are off, right? I don't think Putin is a weak man. Like I think he's an iron fist type of guy, right? I don't see him backing down. So to me, everything is a powder keg right now. Everything. I mean, we have so many players that, I mean, we're talking about a lot of the key players right now, but we have so many players that aren't even on the radar, right? There's so many big players that are not even in the headlines that are involved in things like this around the globe. They're pushing for their dominance or their allies' dominance, okay, which in turn gives them dominance. And I will say this, with BRICS and with everything that you see coming to fruition, one target, and that's America, right? The West. I would say that's the biggest target, right? We have the biggest target on our back. And so anything's possible, in my opinion. And I don't think we've ever come this close, maybe back during JFK, but I don't think we've ever, with the Soviets, I don't think we've ever come this close to this level of seriousness that could be underway, right? I would like to know your thoughts, though. Those are the things, I was like, I had the tack board out and I'm putting tacks with pictures and putting the yarn and connecting all these things here. It doesn't smell right. None of these headlines that I showed you smelled right. Okay. So, and do I know the exact answer? No, I don't. But I'm showing you this because it doesn't smell right to me. And maybe you guys have even seen some other things that I did not see. And I would love to know. No, the DEFCON has not been lowered. The DEFCON is not, somebody's asking if the DEFCON's been lowered. No, it hasn't. It's heightened. But I would like to know your thoughts on that. If there's something that I have not talked about or other headlines that could be associated with it that could be more more telling. Because I think all these things that I've seen tonight, the gold, the fact that he went to Belarus, but now he's being formally welcomed. I hadn't seen a picture of him though, right? So has he already left Earth? Because Lukashenko did tell Putin, he said that we could have taken him out. You could take him out, if not the first day, on the second day or something like that. So there's a lot going on, right? Anyhow, real quick, guys, I want to give you a deal because I haven't given one in a few weeks. So we have shirts. Obviously, we have a few different ones. We got POW, the SBR shirt, the standard Black Scout shirt. If you buy a shirt tonight, you will get well, I'll do it for the rest of the week. If you get a shirt, because some guys don't get paid to Friday, and I always screw those guys, so it's going for the rest of the week. But if you buy a shirt, you'll get a Survival Bivvy Black Scout version. Has a whistle attached, and a bivvy sack is nothing more than a Mylar bag that has reflective abilities and will protect you from wind and rain. But it's basically a sleeping bag, bright orange. So if you're freaking stuck on the side of the road in the snow or something, you wreck, it's cold, you're trying to stay alive, keep your body's core temperatures bright orange so all the search and rescue guys can find you. And yeah, you'll get one of those free. I think they're $12 on the website, so a $12 value for free with your order. All right, so yeah, I'm looking out for you guys to get paid on Friday. And anyhow, when will Putin nuke us? Let's hope he don't. I don't want to get nuked, but things are definitely hot. You know, and we have a very weakened administration right now, a very weakened president. You know, and we keep, you know, bowing down time and time again when people are posturing on us, right? China, Russia, we're having all these things said, but we're backing down. Now we're not going to defend Taiwan. You know, just so many things. We're just backing down. We're showing weakness, and it's not good in my opinion. So stay prepared. Anyhow, guys, go grab a shirt, give us some support, get a free bibby sack, and let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. And always remember, stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous. Take care.